In this one, we're going to practice the chain rule again. In this one, they both involve exponentials, similar to the very first example. For part A, we're given y equals 5e to the 6x plus e to the minus x. This actually involves two chain rules, one on this one and one on this one. So what we want to do is we can think of, if you like to use the idea of the z being the inside, for this one, I'll write it as z1 would be 6x. And in this one, the second z on the second chain rule would be minus x. So the more you practice these, the more you'll be able to see this and not necessarily write it down. I would suggest writing it all out very carefully. At first, do as many as you can from the book, odds that you can check yourself, various things like that. Because the more of these problems that you do, the less you'll have to write down and the more you'll be able to just see what is going on. So for this one, we have y equals, and when I concentrate on just the 5e to the 6x, the derivative of the outside would be the derivative of 5e to the z1, which is just itself again. So we'd have 5e to the 6x times then the derivative of the inside. And the derivative of the inside is just 6. Then we can concentrate on the second term. The second term, derivative of the outside would be the derivative of e to this z, z2. The derivative of e to the z is just e to the z. So we would just have e to the minus x, and then times the derivative of z, or the derivative of the inside. And so we could clean this up. That's what the derivative is. So we can clean this up a little bit so that we can see it a little bit easier and less typing if this were a computer problem. 30e to the 6x minus e to the minus x as our final answer for the derivative. Similar to the power rule with the chain rule, these all have a pattern. So if we're looking at y equals e to some stuff. So again, the less technical way would be e, the way I verbalize it, e to some stuff. Using the chain rule would be the derivative of the outside will always be itself again, times the derivative of the inside. So the derivative of e to the stuff is e to the stuff times the derivative of that stuff. Again, these aren't formulas you need to rememorize. This is still just the chain rule, derivative of the outside times the derivative of the inside. So if you can understand derivative of the outside times the derivative of the inside, this isn't something that you need to memorize again. So let's look at this in the context of part B. For part B, in this case, we only have one piece, and for this we were looking at z is 3x squared minus 7x plus 11. The stuff is that quadratic. So our derivative would be the derivative of the outside, e to the z, which is just going to be itself again, times the derivative of the inside, the derivative of z. So we would get, what, 6x minus 7. Make sure you put parentheses. And in this case, you might rewrite it to make it clear that this is not a part of the exponential. A lot of times we would write it in front like that.